All right. So, the news story and the only news story we're going to be discussing is Star Wars: The Acolyte is canceled. There will be no season 2 for this
Mm.
series here. We just recently did a review of it. If people want to check that out on YouTube, youtube.com, we did a review of the first season of it, or I guess now series review of it. Um, and we did that with Chris from the Black Stove podcast, and also Nick was also there where we did it.
Mhm.
And I think pretty much our thoughts on it was that it was just meh.
Yeah.
Really, really kind of nothing impressive with the series. With a lot of these live action Disney Plus series, we've talked about it. I mean, the only one I've been really impressed by is Andor. That's about it. But this one is not getting a season 2. It says right here, but Deadline says the story, The Acolyte, will not continue with Lucasfilm opting not to proceed with the second season. The Star Wars offshoot starring Amanda Steinberg, sources tell Deadline. Word on the decision comes more than a month after the 8-episode first season of the series. Creator, director, executive producer, and showrunner Leslie Headland wrapped its run on Disney Plus. The news is not entirely surprising. The Acolyte
Mhm.
did okay with critics, with 78% on Rotten Tomatoes, but divided Star Wars fans, which was reflected in its overall viewership. Driven by interest into the space franchise, The Acolyte got off to a strong start when it launched on June 1st, with 2 episodes generating 4.8 million views in its first day on the streamer, to rank as the biggest series premiere in Disney Plus this year. The tally rose to 11.1 million views globally after 5 days of streaming, corroborating Disney's data. The series made its debut on Nielsen's top 10 original charts in its premiere week at number 7, 488 million minutes viewed, climbing to number 6 the following week. But the Acolyte could not sustain the momentum, dropping out of the top 10 in week 3 and staying off before returning at number 10. After the release of the finale, 335 million minutes, believed to be the lowest for a Star Wars series finale. Like fellow global streamers Netflix and Prime Video, Disney Plus has a high viewership threshold for renewing high-end, big-budget series that cost well above 100 million per season to make. So you see some of the reasons there. So it started off strong, kind of tailored off
Mhm.
there a little bit. So the brand obviously is going to interest a lot of people because it is Star Wars. That's going to
Mhm.
draw a lot of people to it and watch it. The concept I thought with Acolyte was interesting
Mhm.
of like, hey, we're going to explore the Sith and the whole idea of that and the idea of the Acolyte. But the whole kind of, and also the mystery kind of element and the murder kind of investigation element and that kind of a little bit more of a darker thing with Star Wars. I also appreciate the execution just felt really flat for me in a
Mhm.
lot of those things. Um, are you sad that it didn't get a season 2 at all, Nick? Did you think with a season 2 they could have improved upon
Uh,
some things? What are your thoughts there?
I feel like the the big problem with the show was its pacing and a lot of the writing decisions. I feel like it spent so much time on setup that by the time we get to the reveal of what's going on, we're on the last like 2 or 3 episodes. It's a story that needed room to breathe and more time to explore it. And while I'm not crazy about the Acolyte, I do think what it did well with the concepts it played with exploring more of the Sith with its saber choreography, I felt that was good. And what they were setting up with season 2 with Osha joining the stranger and becoming his new apprentice. I thought that was interesting enough to potentially carry a second season, but that's not really going to happen anymore.
You say Acolyte did not have the power of mini seasons
Mhm.
there. Um, yeah. Dust, did you ever watch Acolyte? Probably didn't watch it, right?
So I've seen reviews of it that I've seen the Acolyte.
Okay.
I've seen enough that I've seen it all.
Yeah. Um.
Trash.
Oh, what did you say? I'm sorry.
Oh, it's trash.
Okay. Um. I
I'm
don't think.
I'm perfectly fine with it not getting a season 2. It didn't deserve one.
Uh. So I don't think it's the worst one of they've done. I mean, we talked about it when we did the review. I think Boba Fett's still the worst one for me. I don't
Mhm.
really don't like anything
Mm.
they did with Boba Fett. I think this is maybe the second where I don't know if Obi-Wan's maybe slightly better than this there, and then it's basically, like I said, Andor, and then everything else is
Mhm.
whatever how you wanna do it, and then maybe Mando is like a distant second there. Um, so we talked about it, with a second season, I said, like, if it does get a second season, I think there's some things that they could improve upon with
Mhm.
this and maybe build upon, with a lot of things kinda going there. Now they go like, okay, she's fully a Sith apprentice now, and you see that training there. And with, Manny, what's his name? Manny, what's
Manny
his
Jacinto.
Jacinto, what he did, the hot Jedi Sith guy, I think he worked well, you know what I mean? His mysterious nature of him, his kind of cool nature, I think that was kind of interesting to see what they did here. I think you could have built upon that more. But then as we talked about with Alien Romulus, the member berry stuff also came in there of, hey, Darth Plagueis just shows up in one scene and doesn't appear there. And I guess if you're a big person who is into that stuff, then you like that. And also Yoda appeared at the very end, and it's like, oh, we got to have Yoda in here, of course. And it's like, come on, I mean, all this other stuff. And so I understand it kind of not getting a second season, but
Mhm.
also there's something that also happened recently where they've removed all the merchandise Disney has
Mhm.
for the Acolyte, which is also distressing. That's what you see a lot of these streaming services here, where they'll remove, like we did with talked about HBO Max. Like they did this with Infinity Train. They just removed it. Once
Mhm.
they canceled it, they removed it from the streaming service. So all the work that these people put into the show,
Mhm.
the man hours, the time there is just kind of just it feels like it just all is erased there from that. How do you feel about that with it? There, Nick. Oh, yeah.
Uh, yeah. Anytime I think art gets erased, I think that is a tragedy, especially when there is no no physical media available for it at the time of its cancellation. It's why a lot of Kevin Smith's catalog has been lost to history because streaming rights have been really weird with it. And with the Acolyte, even though I'm not crazy about the show, I still think what works about it is good enough that it's worth checking out, even if you're just a little bit curious about Star Wars.
Yeah, so this is right here. This is from Discussing Film right here. It says all merchandise from the Acolyte has been removed from Disney Plus. From Disney's online store here. So if you go to it, it just says, yeah, there's nothing. Um, yeah, which I think, hey, I mean, there are people who did like the show and do love the show and do
Mhm.
love what they did with it. And for that kind of sucks there for just for it to be gone like that for people
Mhm.
who did enjoy it. And
Yes,
radio,
especially with the budget you said it was like 100 million for the season. All of that is just erased when you delete it.
yeah. And Radiant from True, they made a point of saying that you think it's gonna get deleted like Willow. They did have that Willow show, that came,
Mhm.
which was like a continuation from the movie there, and once that got canceled, it just was gone. They just decided to erase it. Like, "Hey, it's not worth keeping on our streaming platform anymore, so we're just gonna erase it." So I don't like
Mhm.
that, what they do there, especially since you said there's no physical media there. People who did wanted to rewatch it, and that's how shows used to come back. Like, Family
Mhm.
Guy got canceled multiple
Yeah,
times, and then because of the DVD sales, it was able to kinda make a return again. It's like, "Oh, there is general interest in this show. People do like this
yeah,
show." This thing.
yeah. Futurama that was canceled twice by Fox and Comedy Central, and then off the dir- the direct to video movies, it got a revival, two revivals.
Yeah, I mean, 8, 10 revival. That show keep getting canceled, coming back, and then having finales and coming back. Futurama, it's like, "Alright, bro, you had your time. Hey, let some other anime shit." But yeah, I mean, Futurama is also another example of that. Hunter from The Real Pineapple here. Hunter, who's been on the show many times before. Shout out to Hunter there. He says, "I like the Acolyte a lot. I watched 2 trailers and read 3 reviews." Um, and then, um, and then Sage, from Random Tree says, "Futurama, I wish it had stayed canceled."
Mm.
There. So, Dusk, what's kind of your opinion on them kind of erasing art on streaming services there?
Well, as someone who believes in archival, regardless of the quality, this is abhorrent. I don't like the fact. Look, I think the Acolyte is genuinely terrible. I think it was a bad concept with a bad head who Leslie Henlin did not understand what she was given, did not care. The people involved wanted to make something completely different and make it their own. It had nothing to do with Star Wars. They dismantled what was given to them, and deservedly so. It got the audience which it wanted, which was nobody. However, despite my feelings towards it, it should exist in some archival form. It should be available to those who wish to view it. That's not for debate. Regardless of quality, things should be available for you. If you have put money into an effort or something, it should at least be available to you to see. It's the same thing we're dealing with video games right now, where
Mm.
companies can go, "Oh no," and we're just going to take it away from you. It's like, no, but I bought it. Well, we don't care. It's like, no, but we bought it and it's ours. And power should always be to the people in what you purchase and what you claim. Physical media is important. It should be in some way available in physical media. I don't care if you have to make it an order system where, hey, we'll print as many as you order. And if somebody orders it, then we make it. And we have some giant server that has all of it or what have you. If you're going to make a product, then it need to be careful on making it available for the people who want to own it. It's just it's not good. And honestly, Willow got scrubbed so quickly off of Disney Plus that people barely had enough time to rip it.
Mm. And Rated Maturity said here, I've been doom saying about digital content and streaming service for years for this exact reason.
I'm there with you.
Yeah, I mean, they could just rip it. They can just take it off there. You have no control over that. And again, it's disrespectful, I think, to the artists who did pour their heart into this show, whether you like the final result or not. I mean, people did work hard on this show. From the writers, from the directors, from the actors, from the the boom mic guy, from the cameraman who did put their manpower time into this and to make this product there. And yes, it's of course, I think as the goal of all creatives, you want everybody to love what you do, but that's not always the case, and you're going to have a harsh reaction from people there that are not just going to like it. But for the merchandise for not even to be there anymore, and then hopefully I hope they don't strip it of the on the streaming service there, because even still maybe somebody could go back to it and then could go like, hey, I people who didn't watch it, it's like, well, let me check it out. I heard all this negative stuff, I heard some positive stuff, let me see it for myself, and then maybe that will help it come back. I don't know, maybe a bunch of people will watch it on the streaming service, and maybe that'll help it come back. Not me, but maybe that will help it come back. And Ulysses says, do you think enough people bothered to pirate the Acolyte to preserve it? I think some people probably did. I mean, people love Star Wars. People do like Star Wars.
Yeah, if nothing else, people are like completionists for Star Wars. Like, as much as abhorrent as they are, the people that were like review bombing and were releasing just disgusting hate videos on the show every week, they were still watching it.
Yeah, they were still watching it. There were people still, and that's another point you bring up, Nick. With a lot of people, celebrating the cancellation of this show, and having such a hatred, for this show from even before it even stepped out. I mean, we talked about, I think during our first initial impressions of it, when we did the season half review of people that were review bombing a shit called the Acolyte. It wasn't even really the Star Wars thing going on Rotten Tomato, and completely review bombing the whole separate thing just called the Acolyte. So there was people with a hate agenda already before it even came out, and ready to kind of hate it there. So yeah, you kind of got to like that. But yeah, I mean, this show, like I said, it's just kind of, it's meh. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things. Like, I don't think it's the worst thing I've seen from Star Wars there.
It really isn't. And yeah, it was like, even I said it during both the mid-season and the finale review. I said that June was so great for television with the Bear, with House of the Dragon, The Boys, but The Acolyte was always like kind of last on that list of shows I needed to check out.
Yeah, I just was like, yeah, I'm not eager to see like, ooh, what's going to happen on the next week of The Acolyte. I'm going to tune in to this.
Oh shit, My Adventure with Superman dropped. Oh, The Acolyte's here too.
Yeah. Now when Andor comes back, I'm gonna be like, oh shit, Andor!
Oh, let's go!
Andor, second season, let's go. Yeah,
One way out, baby.
And they have that new Star Wars show coming out called The Skeleton Crew, and me and Sage from Rated Maturity, we discussed that. And it's Goonies in space. It's that's what it is. And I don't know, see how that kind of turns out with it, what that kind of happens. And they the article also with Deadline goes on to talk about like some of these Star Wars shows do have a lot of popularity. Like you mentioned, The Mandalorian, which is getting its movie. The Mandalorian and Grogu
Mm,
is kind of getting this thing, and that's coming out, I believe, in 2026. I think it's coming out. So there are
I know.
some that are very popular, aren't very big, that are having success there. Um, and then Ahsoka, I think Ahsoka got renewed for a second season. I think that got renewed
I
for
think so. Yes.
yeah, that guy that says here, yeah, the Ahsoka, the company series that preceded the Acolyte, also that's been renewed for a second season too. Andor's getting a second season. They're doing the Skeleton Crew, I think, or yeah, that's the name of it there. Um, so with these, I mean, they're gonna make more Disney Star Wars shit.
Yeah.
They're gonna make more shit. I mean, people say Star Wars is dead. Star Wars is not dead. They're gonna keep making Star Wars
Y'all
shit
keep.
till
Hey, they
you'll be
keep watching
dead.
it. You'll be dead before Star Wars is
You'll
dead.
be fucking dead before they stop making.
Nobody cares. That's the fact. Star Wars as a collective zeitgeist that people care about is mostly dead. Yes, they'll keep pumping it out. Of course they will. They paid billions of dollars for it. But the point they're trying to make is Disney Star Wars, whatever hope people had for it to be a a genuinely great series or genuinely great handling and care of that franchise is dead. I think
Mm.
that's genuinely what they're trying to say. And it's the final nail on the coffin. So everything they've made, everything has led up to that point. And most people, they've just realized the majority of the audience who like Star Wars, who still care about it, have Disney has just openly told them with this, we don't give single crap about you. We don't care. We don't care that you helped build this franchise by financing it and giving it your money. We don't care. We're doing our own thing. And even if they turn the ship around, try to do something different, people are done. They don't trust Disney. They've seen their quality of their work.
I just don't think that's true. I think when the Mandalorian movie comes out, I think people are gonna show up for that. I don't think it's gonna
Mhm.
bomb. I'd be very surprised if it does bomb.
Mm.
I mean, if truly, I mean, I think people will still show up. I mean, there's some people who just love everything Star Wars. If Star Wars slaps this label on it, there's people who just will go see it and love
Yeah,
it there.
I know. And they're
There's
called pixie
also,
dusters.
you know what I mean, newer people there that have been introduced to Star Wars during the new sequel trilogy there, that are new younger generation of people that are coming into this that also like it there. And then Hunter from the Real Pineapple Podcast says, Star Wars will always be popular no matter how many times people perceive that Lucasfilm screws it up there.
Yeah.
It's not a perception, it's the truth.
And then Radiant Infant Maturity also says, I want my Knights of Old Republic game remake, and Star Wars can be out of sight, out of mind otherwise for me. And also, like,
That's a monkey paw's wish, my friend. That's a monkey's paw's wish because they're gonna just destroy that. They're gonna destroy that. You're gonna wish you never asked for that.
and just Star Wars, like Star Wars, everything. I mean, people who are interested via whether it be not even on the shows or the movies, but also the comics and the video games. People who just like you have people like Radiant Trudy who will pop in maybe for the video games, or you have people who do read the comics of it, or will watch the animated shows and all
Mm.
this other stuff and things that they can do there to expand more Star Wars stuff. To go like people go like, oh, okay, well, I'll watch this maybe. Like you said, there are people who are Star Wars completionists who just
To,
yeah.
to be fair, Rated Immaturity just said, I'm one of the people just not watching any of it anymore.
Yeah,
Mm.
he's one of
So,
those people there.
yes.
Gave me quite a few
So,
chances and quite a few things, but I'm personally done. Yeah. So
I
he just
think
I mean,
he
I think
shares
he
a
watches
common
Andor.
sentiment.
He likes Andor. He watches Andor there. So,
Andor is the exception, not the rule.
Mm.
you know.
And it's only
Uh
getting one more season anyway. So once Andor is done, there's no more of that kind of a decent quality.
yeah. So yeah. Oh, so it's only going to get just season 2, that's it?
Yeah, it's only doing one more season. Then they're
Oh,
done.
okay. Well, maybe that's for the best.
Yeah, they
Um
don't want to write it out. They have a story they want to tell. They're gonna write it out, and that's it.
mm, yeah. And I mean, I want to rewatch this again. Honestly. Before we watch it again there. But yeah, so Star Wars Acolyte gone, canceled there. Hopefully, I hope it doesn't get stripped, from the streaming service of Disney Plus. Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be a shame if they did that. Like I said, given I think it's just wrong from people creatives who did work on the show, whether you liked it or didn't like it. It just seems wrong that they would do that to people on the show. Yeah. So and artists probably don't even have ability to access the work they've done You know what I mean, on the show. Like, hey, if you want to show
Mhm.
your work to another company, like, hey, you know, I did this, you know what I mean, for Disney, and I did Star Wars Acolyte, and this is what I did, and hey, look at the choreography here, or look at some of the effects here, or some of this. I was like, oh well, the strip's gone, you know what I mean. We're just gonna remove it on everything. It's like, yeah, I think that's pretty shitty if they were ended up doing that. Um, if that happened. And we just talked about something recently, Rated for Maturity. Me and him, we discussed like Game Informer that got
Mhm.
shut down, and then the access to the
Yeah,
website, everything
that
like
was
that.
awful.
You know, people can't even go, like people who all these people who wrote for articles and did all these things for this website, this magazine, they can't even access any of that anymore.
Yeah.
Like that's all just gone. You
They
know,
couldn't even give them time to archive it.
you know.
People who had already like maybe kind of been archiving it, but now they're going to have huge gaps because they didn't give them the opportunity. They just immediately and gone, cut off connection. It's in a server somewhere, and they just turned it off because they didn't want to give anyone a chance to look through the archives. It just goes to a web page and say, "Hey, thanks for all the laughs,"
Mm,
and that's
yeah.
it.
Um,
Also, they cancel it so quick. They were still taking subscription money. They already had it for that month or just got it renewed for that month, and then they shut it down.
And we'll close out here with the last thing Rating for Maturity said. He said, I'll pop in for some of the games, Fallen Order and Survivor. I do think we're good, but it's relegated to video games and Andor for me. I'm also one of the apparently few that really thought Rogue One was a terrible movie, too, though. So he's that.
You could be wrong about some things.
People, I think people generally, I think general consensus is people like Rogue One. I think it's the general consensus. But not so you can't not like it. I'm just saying that,
Oh,
seems like,
yeah, sure.
you know, that
I'm
seems
just saying you're wrong if you don't. But
yeah. So that's the news there.